What is going on YouTube? Apex36 again, back in with another video, and today's video is going to be another installment in our series, Officer Apex36, so let's get right into it. This is going to be a good one. This is a case that I heard about a long time ago. Very sad. Oh, if that's not your thing, click off. Oh yeah, YouTube, I forgot to mention this is going to be by Disturbing, so check them out for sure. Good YouTube channel.
This case takes place in the USA in September of 2024.
Oh, this is recent.
Recently, an incredibly shocking and nightmarish video clip has been making its rounds on social media. The police cam footage shows a male officer and a woman. The woman appears to be in a state of murderous rage, leaving the officer no option other than to defend himself by any means necessary. Sydney Wilson was a 33-year-old woman. She was born in Pennsylvania but lived in Reston. She graduated from a high school in Washington, D.C. before going on to earn a bachelor's degree from Georgetown University. It was in Georgetown University where she pursued her passion for basketball, as she was able to attend on a basketball scholarship.
Wow.
From what I can tell, she excelled in the sport, as she was the team captain. Sydney stood at over 6 foot tall, so of course she was the perfect height for such a sport. In May of 2013, Sydney won an award for community service excellence. Following her graduation, Sydney took on a number of jobs before she landed a position as an operations manager for JLL Mid-Atlantic.
Okay, so I don't really know the story for this. I haven't seen the clip that he was referencing in the beginning, but I do know that this isn't going to end well. I do know that this is going to be a very sad story, but we're 1 minute and 20 seconds in, and it's seeming as normal as anyone else's story. So, I don't know. I don't know what to really get from this so far. Let's get back into it.
On post on LinkedIn, Sydney wrote, "A personal goal of mine in 2024 is not to be humble. I do a lot of really great and noteworthy work, and I am responsible for being my best advocate." By all accounts, Sydney seemed like she was doing well in life. According to those who knew Sydney, they later explained that she loved children. It's possible that Sydney had gone through some hardships in her life, as she was also an inspirational and motivational speaker. She would speak to young girls that were coached by her former teammates and aspired to play high school and college basketball. This seems to be something that Sydney took great pride in and gave her a sense of purpose. However, all of this good would tragically come to an end when, according to some sources, Sydney's mental health issues began to cause some problems. On Monday, the 16th of September 2024, at approximately 10:17 a.m., an officer by the name of Peter Liu picked up his police radio. On the other end, the operator informed him of a job to go to, involving a woman who was mentally unwell and was in an agitated state. The operator informed Peter of the situation, that the police force had received a request from a mental health professional to conduct a welfare check on a 33-year-old woman named Sydney Wilson. And so Peter set off to a block of apartments at Sunrise Valley Drive in Reston. At this point, Peter had been part of the police force for over 14 years, and he was trained in crisis management, so he would have been one of the most qualified officers to attend this call. In this area, these sorts of welfare checks are usually done in tandem with another mental health professional. However, the usual co-responder was unavailable to assist Officer Liu, as at the time they were on another call. Although, according to those who have since assessed the situation, this would end up being a positive thing. Peter Liu arrived and he knocked on Sydney's door. Sydney opened the door smiling, but she immediately closed it. Undeterred, Officer Liu continued to try to speak to her through the door, and after approximately 2 minutes, Sydney opened the door again.
Hi man, I'm Officer Liu.
What? I was very paranoid.
How are you?
What the fuck? What? Wait. She just immediately swung a knife at the officer. And I will say, when she opened the door the first time, she had a very weird looking smile where she almost smiled as if like there was something like good about the situation, or as if like the cops were playing like a prank on her or something. Very eerie, because she went from that to not saying anything, closing the door, to opening the door, saying how are you, and swinging out a knife. This is not gonna end well. I'm just saying, I mean, this is very sad. Just knowing how this is playing out, there's really no moment in this for the cop to do any bit of intervention. Like, where do you want the cop to try to cool everything down if everything seemed fine, at first? Oh, man. Let's get back into it.
Oh yeah! Back up! Back up! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Hey man!
What is she
I'm not gonna do
yelling?
it. Please back up! Oh yeah! Back up!
Said,
back
oh
up.
yeah?
Back up!
As Sydney opened the
Oh my
door,
God.
she said, "How are you?" before quickly using the knife to slash the officer. At this point, Sydney lunges towards the officer, who backs away, saying, "Jesus Christ." The officer pleads with Sydney, telling her to back up. Upon raising his weapon, Sydney does back up, but only for a moment. Shortly after, she refuses and continues to walk towards Officer Liu, holding the knife above her head in a threatening manner.
Is this
Sydney
paranoia?
continues to walk towards Officer Liu.
What
in a
is
way
going on
that
in her
looks
head?
Right out of a cliche horror movie. Sydney then slashes the officer again as he screams back
Oh
up.
my God.
The officer was able to retreat after shooting Sydney twice. However, she still continued to attack him in an incredibly violent manner. In that moment, Officer Liu decided to shoot again. Sydney was
Holy
shot a
fuck.
total of 3 times before she collapsed to the floor. Officer Liu then grabbed his radio to call in for assistance, but as he did this, blood began to pour from his wounds. In just a
Oh
few
my
moments,
God.
his entire police radio is completely covered in his own blood. After calling for backup, Officer Liu then approached Sydney. Blood can be seen on the footage just pouring from him. Sydney was still alive, so Officer Liu asks if she is okay. However, Sydney is too injured to reply. Only moaning can be heard as she clings on to life.
What the
With the loss
fuck?
of blood, Officer Liu goes to the ground. Other people who lived in the apartment block begin to come out and ask Officer Liu if everything is okay. The officers and medics soon arrive on the scene. Other body cam footage shows Officer Liu lying on the ground in a horrific state. Blood is literally streaming down his face as
Oh
the
my
medic
God.
treats his wounds. This is where the footage ends. Sydney Wilson was rushed to hospital. However, shortly after her arrival, she was pronounced dead. Peter Liu lost some blood, but thankfully, his injuries were not life-threatening and he was treated for his wounds. There is an image online that can easily be found, which shows Officer Liu's wound to his head. The
I don't
image
wanna
is
see
quite
it.
graphic, so if you're squeamish, don't look.
I wouldn't look
Following
that
the
up.
death of Sydney, her old college basketball team shared a post in which they
Shit.
said that they were mourning the tragic loss of Sydney Wilson and said that she was forever part of the team. Sydney's funeral was then held in Pennsylvania on the 5th of October 2024. Her obituary
Fuck,
says,
man.
Sydney's legacy of friendship, empathy and love will live on in the hearts of everyone who ever met her. However, footage of the incident was then shared, and since this, the basketball team have been slammed and criticized, with many telling the team to take down the post. When the death of Sydney came to light,
I mean, here's the thing though. Why would they take down the post? Saying that it's tragic is one thing. When she had a knife and charged a police officer, but why would they take down the post? Clearly she had some sort of mental illness going on. It's not like she's doing all this stuff on purpose. Like, there's clearly something going on in her head that just was not clicking with reality, because she looked almost confused. Like, she thought the cop was like playing a prank on her, or maybe he was trying to pose as a cop and he wasn't. I don't know. I really have no idea. I'm not trying to blame him at all, because obviously he did the right thing, but it's just like, to me, that looks like schizophrenia, or like, even just hyper paranoia. I mean, I don't know. This is horrific though, for all parties involved, man. This is crazy, honestly.
people began to look at her various social media pages. On her LinkedIn and Facebook pages, she had posted about receiving a certificate in mental health training in 2024. She wrote,
What?
"I am proud of this. I became certified in adult mental health first aid after 8 hours of necessary training. As a personnel manager, mentor, friend, big cousin, and daughter, it's important to be able to help and identify
What the
challenges
fuck?
in myself and others. I think this is the greatest act of love." The Chief of Police, Kevin Davis, then spoke with the media.
He did the things that we train him and expect him to do, If you're threatened like that, if you can tactically reposition yourself, do it. If you can use distance, use it. If you can seek cover and concealment, seek it. All those options just weren't available to him, and he was being
Wow.
simultaneously attacked.
Davis then went on to say, "Any loss of life is something we all mourn. The person whose life was lost in this particular case is no different. She has a family and friends and loved ones who loved her very much. They are grieving and upset. We will pray for them, and our thoughts are with this particular family." Kevin Davis went on to say that it could have been much, much worse. As I said earlier, the usual co-responder was unavailable at the time as they were on another call. Kevin Davis believes that the clinician not showing up on the scene prevented the incident from becoming even deadlier, as if Sidney were to grab the clinician first, Officer Liu would not have been able to fire his weapon right away, and the
Oh,
clinician
shit.
would have likely been killed. Then, the footage made the rounds on social media. This case has divided many. There are a few people who defend Sidney. One person said that Sidney should not have been killed, but should have been stunned with a stun gun, with one person saying that because she was black, they killed her, with other people sticking up.
The only thing that I would say with kind of turning this into something political is that, I mean, she swung at him with a knife and hit him. It's not like she swung, didn't hit him at all, and he's able to kind of back up and reassess the whole situation. You expecting that he's going to grab a taser after that? I mean, come on, like, that's a little ridiculous. If I'm just being honest, because in that scenario, I mean, it's life or death. If she swung at you and didn't hit you, okay, maybe you might have some time to reassess and, okay, I'm gonna deploy a taser, but I don't know. I mean, she hit you right away and didn't give you any chance, any moment to intervene, to assess the situation, to talk, nothing. I don't know, but this is horrific. Either way, this is very sad. And this lady lived in a nice apartment complex. She did all these things for her community, and clearly something was just going on behind the scenes, you know, behind the curtains inside of her head, and man, very dark.
Up for Officer Liu, saying that she was not the victim and that she attacked the officer with the knife first. The police have since come forward and said that Officer Liu has been placed on restricted duty status, pending the outcome of an investigation looking into the incident. As far as I can tell, this is standard procedure and doesn't indicate that he is in any trouble. Now, some people have attempted to paint this as a racial police killing, stating that Sidney should have been tased and not shot, and that she was only shot because of the colour of her skin. However,
I just don't believe that. I'm gonna be honest. I don't believe that because, I mean, I understand that there's a lot of police shootings that will kind of shift the narrative of politics, kind of shift the narrative of society. You know, was it for this reason? Was it for that reason? I mean, either way, it doesn't matter. Someone's dead. But I don't know. I don't really know enough about this to make an assumption like that. I don't really think that anyone knows enough about this to make an assumption like that. But one question that I would ask, and this is something that I was kind of thinking of the whole time we were watching that, is what lag social worker make a phone call to the police and then say, hey, I want you to do a welfare check and just see what you see and if everything's all right. What would have flagged that? That is just the question of the day, it seems like. What would have made a social worker go, hey, I need you to check on this 35-year-old woman and go to her house and see if she's all right? I just don't get it. I don't know. What flag would it have been? I mean, I'm not sure. Definitely not sure. But whatever it was, it must have been serious. There clearly was a sign. Man, this is a hurtful one, man. This is a hurtful one. It's very sad. Very hard to get through. But this was the case of Sidney Wilson. Pretty interesting case. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Yeah, YouTube, this is another installment in our series, Officer Pixar 6. I hope you enjoyed this one. This is a good one. And yeah, this isn't our normal body cam footage where we're just watching body cam. But a little bit different though. Yeah, YouTube, hope you enjoyed this. Pixar out.